Welcome to WizeUp. I'm Paul Arthur. I want to talk today about seems to me, a growing trend of debanking, freezing bank accounts of individuals and even organizational groups, and censorship, generally speaking. Before we dive in, a quick reminder to hit subscribe and tell your friends about us as well. Always appreciate that. Our guest today, joining us from Chilliwack, is Mike Schouten. He's the Executive Director of ARPA. That is the Association for Reformed Political Action. Their website, arpacanada.ca. And Mike, good to have you with us again.
Yeah, good to speak to you again, Paul.
You bet. Why don't we first of all just tell people a little bit about what ARPA is about? What do you guys do?
Sure, yeah. So ARPA, as you stated, the Association for Reformed Political Action, is a Christian political advocacy organization, and our mission is to educate, equip, and encourage Christians to political action. And then the second part of our mission is to take a biblical perspective directly to our civil authorities. So that'd be like the courts, the legislative assemblies across the country. And
yeah, I mean, you guys do stuff like you guys sometimes intervene in some of these court cases before the Supreme Court of Canada. You guys get in there like a dirty shirt and you get involved, try to make a difference, right?
Yeah, it's been really fun to work with ARPA because of those two components of the mission, right? We're working with the grassroots, getting them engaged, but we're also doing it individually as staff, right? Building relationships with public office holders, our law policy team, like you said, intervening in the courts, directly in the courts, taking that biblical perspective to the courts for them to hear it so that they can ascertain how to judge one way or another. We're not always granted with favor when it comes to the courts as far as favorable decisions, but yet we're still able to witness to God's truth in those environments, and that's pretty huge.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. I like what you're doing. Yeah. That's great. Well, ARPA, your organization, got a bit of a rude surprise this last little while. You got debanked. I mean, that must have come as a complete shock.
Yeah, that was a very big surprise. So we received a letter on July 30th from Canadian Western Bank. Very short letter, very abrupt, just stating your accounts have been reviewed and they're going to be closed as of August 30th. So they essentially gave us 1 month to move over all of our banking out of that financial institution, Canadian Western Bank, and find a new financial institution. So total surprise, especially because, Paul, we've been banking with Canadian Western since 2008.
And I'm assuming you've been causing them all kinds of problems during that time, right?
No, nothing of this sort. And it's the main institution whereby we have all our automated funds transfers. So that's all the monthly donors to our campaign. So to interrupt that is interruptive. It's a big deal for us. So we immediately engaged with the bank and at the same time tried to find a new institution because we only have 30 days to move things over. So yeah, it's been a frantic couple weeks for sure. But even in this, God has been good. Some recent developments actually have occurred insofar as the bank. So Canadian Western Bank, and for your listeners, for your viewers, they have amalgamated with the National Bank of Canada. They announced that, I think, in February of this year.
Okay.
So they're in the process of doing that. And when I received the initial communication from them, I just thought it had something to do with that. Like it had something to do with the everything changing to National Bank of Canada. But it didn't. They were closing our account. But in the meantime, the National Bank of Canada has reached out to us and apologized and said, hey, what we did was in error. We shouldn't have done this.
Oh, wow.
In their words, it was a precautionary measure because something had been flagged in our account by somebody. I've responded back to them and said, precautionary measure is not closing our account.
No, I wonder if they're responding to some of the backlash they're seeing in media coverage, saying, "Hold on a second." So you give no explanation at all to a longtime client, shut them down, give them a month, no reasons given. I'm going, is that even legal in Canada? Don't we have to give reasons for these things? And maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, that is. So they're allowed to do this, but they have to give reasons. But the reasons can be however basic you want them to be. They don't have to be substantive at all. We thought they would be a risk to us, so we decided that they don't want us. We don't want them as a client anymore.
Right.
So yeah. Anyway, we're thankful that they acknowledged that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we do believe that because of that action, trust has been broken, And
Yeah, for sure. I think that does break trust. And yeah, I mean, again, I can't accuse National Bank or whatever the other bank was here.
Canadian Western.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure if there's some ideological issue there or not. I simply don't know. But I mean, sometimes it could be even an employee who works for them who happens to be, you know, anti-pro-life groups or something, because I think you had mentioned that another pro-life group was debanked by Canadian Western Bank. Is that correct?
Yeah, two. There was two
Two.
other organizations that we are acquainted with similar type missions, definitely in the pro-life, anti-abortion realm, and both of them received the exact same letter. And I should state that both of them also have been followed up with by the National Bank.
Okay.
Invited them back as clients. I'm not sure what their
Good to
decisions
hear.
are, but at least there's some acknowledgement that, and you're right, it might be as a result of pushback from members or the media or other people.
Yeah.
But I think it's good in a sense that Christians are, hey, can't just let this happen to us. And to be quite honest with you, as the executive director of ARPA, it was, brought about some anxiety in the sense of like, who do we go to? Because if they can do this, why can't another bank do this? So we did end up finding a Christian Credit Union, also Alberta-based.
Yes.
And very thankful that they're taking us on as clients and working hard to ensure that we can get everything transferred over to them.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good news. But yeah, I mean, it is concerning when you see other examples as well. A lawyer, a Canadian lawyer, I think was also debanked fairly recently. And again, we can't prove that it's ideologically based, but she happens to be, one of the lawyers representing some of the folks with the, Freedom Truck Convoy, right? So when you stand up for, freedom and, issues that maybe don't toe the government narrative, the woke narrative out there, you might get censored, right? That's a message that seems to be out there, and it's definitely of concern if that's the case. So now there's other stuff that comes with this here as well. You had a rally. You have a rally and a march actually coming up in Toronto. I think this is at Queen's Park, right? September 27th, called "Let Kids Be." So I'm assuming that is probably dealing with minors transitioning gender, that sort of thing. Well, tell us what it's about, I guess, and who are you inviting to attend this particular event?
Yeah. So just backing up a couple of steps. So the Let Kids Be it's a public awareness campaign of ARPA Canada. We launched it in 2023, and we launched it in response to this growing concern amongst the international community, for sure, that we're treating kids, really, who are dealing with gender dysphoria, grappling with their identity, how we're treating them is actually causing irreversible harm to them. So things like puberty blockers to kids as young as 10, 11 years old, cross hormone therapies to teenagers, even at times surgeries to teenagers, how these things are not the proper response to a problem of gender dysphoria. So the Tavistock Clinic in England was closed. In the UK, there was released a massive report called the Cass Report by Dr. Henry Cass, outlining all the problems with this. And yet in Canada here, we continue to go down that same road that they went down and recognized was the wrong road. We seem intent on just catapulting down that road. And then in 2023-24, the government in Alberta, Danielle Smith's government, announced that they were going to take action and create actually some laws prohibiting this type of behavior by the medical community in the province of Alberta. So in Alberta, there have been laws passed that prohibit the transitioning of children via the use of puberty blockers, cross-hormone therapy, etc. And we decided, hey, we need to start this campaign because all the other provinces in Canada, they ought to be doing the same thing. They ought to be taking the same type of action as Alberta. Yes. So for about the last 6-8 months, we've been engaging in a grassroots effort in the province of Ontario to get the Doug Ford government to hear this message that you need to also do this. And this rally that you just talked about on September 27th at Queen's Park is part of that campaign. And this rally, we're inviting everyone, everyone who's concerned with what's going on. You don't have to be faith-based. Just if you're concerned with how the government and how the medical establishment is treating children when it comes to gender dysphoria, you got to show up. You got to show up and show Doug Ford and his cabinet, his government, that they have to take action. So that's a big event happening on that day.
Well, I think it's super important. And, from what I've seen, quite interesting that, again, this goes cross religious faith groups. Lots of different religions agree with this particular stance, and as well as non-religious people, including people from the trans community, actually, who have voiced their concerns saying, hey, look, I'm an adult. I made this choice. But when you're 5, 6, 11, this is not a choice you make on your own, especially if it involves permanent changes to your body. So there's concern from all different groups, it seems, and it needs to be voiced, not shut down. Now, having said that, looks like somebody's trying to shut you down. You had a Let Kids Be billboard on display in Hamilton, I believe it was. And the mayor of Hamilton, Andrea Horwath, apparently not super excited about it. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so ARPA Canada has local chapters, affiliates throughout the country.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So those are just volunteer groups, kind of conduits for the work of ARPA Canada, and they have their own initiatives within their communities. They know their communities best. So 3 of them in Ontario, they pooled some resources together and purchased an advertisement on one of those electronic billboards right alongside the Lincoln-Alexander Highway in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And that ad went up, I don't know the exact date, but within 5 days, the mayor had gotten wind that this ad was up. And the ad simply said, "Let kids be," and then the tagline underneath, "Stop medical transition for minors." That's all it said. And it was very friendly. The colors are kid friendly. It's a hard ad to hate. Like it just very informative.
So clearly a very hateful billboard.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just couldn't help myself.
No. So yeah, Mayor Horwath got wind of that and decided that this is a transphobic billboard. It has to come down. So when you throw around terms like that, all of a sudden everybody gets on edge. They're like, "What's going on?" And it's actually for one of those reasons that the mainstream media has been very hesitant actually to show any pictures of the ad or to even cover this story, because it's not transphobic, it's not hateful. It's a simple message that people can decide for themselves if they want to go check out the website or if they agree or don't agree with the actual advertisement.
Yeah.
So yeah, she ordered it taken down. We weren't surprised at the pushback. I mean, we've had this message on transit buses in London, Ontario. There was pushback, but nobody indicated that they wanted to take the sign down. So we weren't surprised at the pushback, but we're surprised that she, I think, misused her power as mayor to violate our freedom of expression and order the sign down. So that's why there's lots of fallout from this, including we're preparing to file legal arguments in court.
Yeah, because I mean, does a mayor have the authority? I mean, this is a privately owned billboard company, I'm assuming, and you guys do your thing. You pay for it, and they again, and to the normal, if I can use that term, the average human being looking at that, yeah, it's a controversial topic. You've expressed an opinion, but to extract from that, this is promoting hatred toward a specific group of individuals. I mean, I just don't know how you get there from here. But so what are your options? Are you actually taking this to court then, or?
We are, yeah. We're preparing legal arguments now, and we'll file them. You have a 30-day window in which to file them, so we have to file them by September 8th. Mm-hmm. And our Director of Law and Policy has indicated that he will be ready to do that before September 8th. So those arguments will be filed in Hamilton courtroom. And yeah, we'll see what a judge decides when it comes to whether or not Mayor Horwath violated Section 2 of the Charter and ordering this sign down.
Well, free speech, right? I mean, basically, it seems like we're becoming a society where, if we disagree on something that's controversial, it shouldn't be legal anymore. Well, and whoever opposes the government approved, mantra, whatever the current line of government thinking is, and if you voice opposition to that, we're going to shut you down. It's cancel culture big time. And there's that message that goes out there, and people hear it, and probably a lot of people don't want to go through that process. You guys are willing to do this, kind of the sacrificial lambs, if you will, and there's a price to pay, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that it's not just us as well. Like there are so many people who have jumped up and said, "Hey, you know what? We want to support what you're doing." Even other legal firms across the country who also value freedom of expression. They're not even faith-based. They probably think differently even on this very topic than us, but they would defend in court our right to be able to say these things. So I think that's important to note, and we need to do this, Paul, because what's happening in Canada is that chilling effect that is coming on the average Canadian, where even in the workplaces, they feel that they're not emboldened to actually speak up on the things that they believe in because they're so scared to get canceled or fired or given a poor job. And that's not good. It's not good that we live in a society like that. And it's a result of, the powers that be in our country and their inability to actually engage on the topic. Right. So why not sit down with us, Mayor Horwath, and talk about what we're promoting here? And you defend to us why that should be able to happen in Canada. Let's have a vigorous dialogue about this rather than her looking at it. And I think recognizing I don't really have an argument against this. I don't even know how to express myself against this other than let's just censor them. And that's their only weapon.
I do struggle with that. I have never met Andrea Horwath. Maybe she's a wonderful person, and just passionate about this particular topic. But like you say, why not engage in conversation respectfully? Mm-hmm. And, why do we consider it hateful when we disagree on something? We have a different viewpoint. That doesn't mean I hate someone. I mean, the reason for free speech, well, what's the reason for free speech? Let me ask you that. Mike, is it free simply, for everybody who agrees?
Yeah, then it's not free speech, right? We all know that it would be just a fallacy. It would just be really a hoax almost. Free speech is because in a society you want there to be differing opinions and you want those people to be able to express those opinions and come to sometimes to common ground, sometimes to walk away and say, oh, we can't find common ground here, but that's okay. We're still neighbors. We still have lots of other things in common. So let's work together for the good and flourishing of all in society or in community. And it's really a hallmark of a civilized, stable society when we have freedom of expression and we're able to use it. And what we're increasingly obviously seeing in our country is that freedom is being impinged upon because people actually only value freedom of expression for those people that they agree with. And that's all.
Yeah, I mean, if we truly believe in tolerance, and that's what lots of these woke groups, preach, tolerance, diversity. Well, if you all agree, why would you need tolerance? Why would you need diversity? Because you're not diverse, and you're not tolerating anybody who sees things differently. By definition, you violate your own, mantra there, your own truth. So something needs to change here. Somehow we got to get the pendulum going back there. And there seems to be, again, a growing trend of this censorship. I mean, I think of Sean Foyt. And again, lots of people not fans of Sean Foyt. I've never met him, so I don't know if I'm a fan of his or not. I know he's a Christian worship leader. He's a Trump supporter, kind of MAGA supporter, Make America Great Again. He's from the States, on a tour here in Canada, getting shut down everywhere. Parks Canada, of all. What does Parks Canada have to do with, anyway? So he was going to perform right in a park. That comes under the authority of Parks Canada. And so I guess somebody got wind of that and they canceled his permit. I'm going, why on earth would you do that? Again, cities canceling his permits. And the funny thing is, as you do this, you take away his freedom to voice his somewhat controversial opinions. He gets massive free publicity.
Yeah.
Has anybody thought this through?
Yeah. Well, here is another example, right, of where we see it kind of it actually reverses itself
Yeah.
on the mob activists, right? In their efforts to censor, to silence someone, his or her message, the message to the billboard, it actually gets expanded because of that desire to censor. But you're right; it is very unfortunate, especially when places like Parks Canada get involved in this kind of thing. It's not the role of even some of these corporate organizations or financial institutions. Like we have a bank, a financial institution for a specific reason. We're not looking to that bank to promote the latest woke cause in our country. That's not their role.
Yeah.
But the reality is when Parks Canada starts receiving calls from, say, anti-Christian activists saying, lambasting Sean Foyt and saying who he is, and all the articles you would have seen, they all talk about how he, his views on abortion, his views on marriage, and so on. It's like, well, like 50% of Americans have views on abortion that differ from the left.
Yeah.
50% of Americans have views on marriage that differ from the left. Sean Foyt's he's not some kind of abnormal person. He's just like an average American in that sense. But they are, in a way, timid and scared to face the mob activists. So instead of just saying, no, that's not our role to do that, and then facing the backlash from them, they decide to cater to their desires and say, you know what, because of, dangers to the public or the potential for harm to people if there's protests, like we're just going to deny a permit here or there. And that again has the chilling effect, right?
Why not deal with the people who are protesters who are potentially violent? How about just deal with them rather than the guy who's just there to worship the Lord and share his message, Seems, very backwards there. Amy Ham, also in the news, of course, a BC nurse. Most people have heard of this case here. Recently fined $93,000, I believe it was, suspended for a month from being a nurse. She lost her job out of that, too. And so, the BC College of Nurses is calling it professional misconduct, quote unquote. Basically, as I understand it, she simply voiced her personal opinions as a Canadian citizen, supporting the right of women to female-only spaces free from, biological males coming into those spaces. She shared that on social media and happened to mention that, she's a nurse. And I guess that's where the violation comes in place. She's not speaking on behalf of the, College of Nurses, for crying out loud. That's pretty obvious. And she also helped pay to put up a billboard, like you guys did. In this case, it was, it just said, "I love J.K. Rowling," of course, who's been very vocal about her, defense of female rights again, on the whole trans issue there as well. Again, private time, personal opinions. No evidence of harm whatsoever that I'm aware of. Apparently, it was, I think the panel said something like the likelihood that trans-identified people would find her statements to be discriminatory or derogatory. So if there's a likelihood, how is that factual? How is that evidence? I don't know. I may think that Mike Schouten is likely to run stop signs and, so I'm not going to go with you in the car. But if I think you're likely to do that, should I give you a ticket?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm thinking not.
No, it's actually just ridiculous rationale to make these decisions, and it doesn't go both ways, right? So when I walk into my local financial institution here, and it's covered in pro-gay marriage and pride flags, did the people who put those up think, oh, is there a likelihood that people who are in favor of traditional marriage might be offended when they see this? Absolutely not. They don't care, right? So another, this Amy Ham case is another example of censorship, and also we talked earlier about that chilling effect. Well, if you slap a nurse who speaks out of line with a $90,000+ fine, well, the nursing profession in BC, I'm sure, is filled with people that are faith-based and Christians. A lot of them work in that profession. Well, how dare you speak up? You're not going to dare speak up if you risk getting slapped with a fine that large. So it has that chilling effect again, right?
Oh, very much so. It's weaponizing their authority. It really is, isn't it? You think, okay, apparently the panel was also, continually voicing concern of what they would call a vulnerable segment of our community, marginalized. what about the segment of the community that, again, is standing up for female rights here? Where are their rights in the middle of all of this? Again, are they potentially being violated, right? So, yeah, we've got to somehow get some balance to all of this here. I mean, I guess what can we do as the public to push back against these things? I mean, we have seen a lot of pushback in the States, and I guess we can ask, well, is that because of Donald Trump? And certainly he has had a part to play in that. Or is it coming from the grassroots? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. The key is like when people see, for example, what Amy Ham is doing in pushing back, right? Her case is going to go also before the courts in regards to unlawful removal from her position, etc. So when people see that, then they feel emboldened. I can only speak from our experience. So in the two examples we talked about, the billboard in Hamilton, as well as the debanking, in both those instances, we've been fielding communication the last 2 weeks from people who are either they're willing to go in front of the Hamilton City Council and express their disappointment that the mayor did this at an open council meeting, and we're assisting them in doing that. And on the debanking thing, from a lot of people who are like, oh, I have my retirement funds, for example, at National Bank of Canada. I'm going to be exploring other options, and I'm going to let them know why. Right? So people need to speak up, and when they do, then those in those corporate offices will recognize that, oh, we can't just get away with doing this because it's going to impact not only our bottom line, but it's going to impact our business, how we're received in the community, etc. So that's been really encouraging, and I think that as this happens, we just need to encourage each other as Christians that, hey, we're not just one.
Well, I got to interrupt you there because of the time here, but we've got to get off our butts and get involved, don't we? Yeah. Appreciate what you guys are doing, Mike. ARPAcanada.com. Do check out their website. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Tell your friends about us. WizeUp.ca.